Well, happy early Merry Christmas to everybody. It's Christmas Eve. Today's Lunch and Learn, and I wanted to say this special story, and I'm going to read it. It was a story that Mary Kay shared with us frequently. She would read it sometimes at leadership conference to the directors, but it was a story that really, I don't know, it just goes to show you the impact of one person. So you never know when you are taking someone under your wing or believing in them, the impact that you can have. So just for a minute, I just want you to put down your pen or stop driving and just for a minute, listen to this. It's called the Teddy story. It was shared by Dr. Wayne Dyer. It's a story many years ago of an elementary teacher. Her name was Mrs. Thompson. And as she stood in the front of her fifth grade class on the very first day of school, she told the children a lie. Like most teachers, she looked at her students and said that she loved them all the same. But that was impossible because there in the front row, slumped in his seat, was a little boy named Teddy Stoddard. Mrs. Thompson had watched Teddy the year before and noticed that he didn't play well with the other kids, and his clothes were messy, and that he constantly needed a bath, and Teddy could be unpleasant. It got to the point where Mrs. Thompson could actually take delight in marking his papers with a broad red pen, making a bold X, and then putting a big F at the top of his paper. At the school where Mrs. Thompson taught, she was required to review each child's past records, and she put Teddy's off until last. However, when she reviewed his file, she was in for a surprise. Teddy's first grade teacher wrote, quote, "Teddy is a bright child with a ready laugh. He does his work neatly and has good manners. He's a joy to be around," unquote. His second grade teacher wrote, quote, "Teddy is an excellent student, well liked by his classmates, but he is troubled because his mother has a terminal illness and life at home must be a struggle." His third grade teacher wrote, quote, "His mother's death has been hard on him. He tries to do his best, but his father doesn't show much interest, and his home life will soon affect him if some steps aren't taken," unquote. Teddy's fourth grade teacher wrote, quote, "Teddy is withdrawn and doesn't show much interest in school. He doesn't have many friends, and he sometimes sleeps in class." By now, Mrs. Thompson realized the problem, and she was ashamed of herself. She felt even worse when her students brought her Christmas presents wrapped in beautiful ribbons and bright paper, except for Teddy's. His present was clumsily wrapped in this heavy brown paper that he got from a grocery bag. Mrs. Thompson took pains to open it in the middle of the class. Mrs. Thompson took pains to open it in the middle of the other presents. Some of the children started to laugh when she found a rhinestone bracelet with some of the stones missing, and a bottle that was 1/4 full of perfume. But she stifled the children's laughter when she exclaimed how pretty the bracelet was, putting it on and dabbing some of the perfume on her wrist. Teddy Stoddard stayed after school that day just long enough to say, quote, "Mrs. Thompson, today you smell just like my mom used to." Okay, I'm seriously not going to cry. Okay, after the children left, she cried for at least an hour. On that very day, she quit teaching reading and writing and arithmetic. Instead, she began to teach children. Mrs. Thompson paid particular attention to Teddy. As she worked with him, his mind seemed to come alive. The more she encouraged him, the faster he responded. By the end of the year, Teddy had become one of the smartest children in the class. And despite her lie that she would love all the children the same, Teddy became one of the, quote, teacher's pets. A year later, she found a note under her door from Teddy telling her that she was still the best teacher he had ever had in his whole life. 6 years went by before she got another note from Teddy. He then wrote her that he had finished high school, third in his class, and she was still the best teacher he had ever had in his whole life. 4 years after that, she got another letter saying that while things had been tough at times, he'd stayed in school, he'd stuck with it, and would soon graduate from college with the highest of honors. He assured Mrs. Thompson that she was still the best and favorite teacher he had ever had in his whole life. Then 4 years had passed, and yet another letter came. This time, he explained that after he got his bachelor's degree, he decided to go a little further. The letter explained that she was still the best and favorite teacher he'd ever had, but now his name was a little longer. The letter was signed Theodore Stoddard, MD. The story doesn't end there. You see, there was yet another letter that spring. Teddy said he'd met this girl and he was going to be married. He explained that his father had died a couple of years ago, and he was wondering if Mrs. Thompson might agree, that Mrs. Thompson might agree to sit in the place at the wedding that was usually reserved for the mother of the groom. Of course, Mrs. Thompson did, And guess what? She wore that bracelet, the one with several rhinestones missing. And she made sure she was wearing the perfume that Teddy remembered his mother wearing on their last Christmas together. They hugged each other, and Dr. Stoddard whispered in Mrs. Thompson's ear, "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson, for believing in me. Thank you so much for making me feel important and showing me that I could make a difference." Mrs. Thompson, with tears in her eyes, whispered back, and she said, "Teddy, you have it all wrong. You were the one who taught me that I could make a difference. I didn't know how to teach until I met you." And this is the Teddy story. Isn't it beautiful? It melts your heart and makes you realize that, just as Neville Goddard said, it's so beautiful, if you judge after appearances, you will continue to be enslaved by the evidence of your senses. So if you want to hear any more of Wayne Dyer's amazing stories, including the Teddy story, there's videos. You can Google them. They're on audio. They're on YouTube. But this is a story that was so special to Mary Kay, and she shared it with us several times. And it goes to show you guys the impact you can have when you truly, from your heart, believe in somebody and you truly want them, the best of them. And I want you guys to know how much you all mean to me, how much I believe in each and every one of you, whether your goals are big or small. Believe in yourself, because once you believe in yourself, you are absolutely unstoppable. So I hope you guys have a very blessed Christmas. And this recording will be posted, and I can't wait to wish you all in person. Would be great, but know that I'm there in spirit, believing in each and every one of you. Have a great day.